Hey everyone, sorry we're a little bit late today. I'm starting a new job and just got back from Helcon, so I'm like, I'm tired. But I could not take a week away from you guys. So I'm Mandy, also known as the Board Gaming Pinup Girl.
And I'm Michael, known as Paul.
And today we are going to be taking a look at, we'll do a run through of Tesla versus Edison Duel, is published by Artana Games. And it was created by J.R. Honeycutt and Dirk. Can you pronounce the last name?
Where am I here?
Dirk. I'm sorry, I'm going to do a terrible job on your name. Dirk Knemeyer.
Knemeyer, yeah.
Knemeyer. Let's hope that's right. I know JR, so I know how to say his name. So yeah. Oh, who's on? Needs of the One. Hello. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the tweeting and retweeting.
Yes.
So appreciate it. We love the support and positivity. Thank you so much. So I am going to, maybe I should tell you where you can find me. So you can find me on YouTube on To Die For Games, as well as the Dice Tower. I'm a contributor and a host, so I am part of the Dice Tower team. I do a podcast every 2 weeks there with Mrs. Suzanne Sheldon. Also on Instagram as the Board Gaming Pinup Girl, and on Twitter as the Board Gamer Pinup Girl. I'm sure I'm missing something in there, but there's a few places that you can find me.
I am on Instagram as Paulum, Pawlom. Twitter is Paulum21, and here every Monday night, 8 o'clock. Almost. A little bit. Close to 8.
It's okay. It's a little bit late. But it's a shorter game tonight. So, Tesla versus Edison Duel. I will hand it over to Michael to explain.
So we are going to be vying for electrical supremacy, if you will, in 3 different regions. So we've got New England, New York, and out west. Mm-hmm. I think I'm just going to switch the overhead right away so you can see what we've got going on here. So we've got the 3 different regions, and this is all pretty much mostly card-based with what we're playing with here. There are some chips as well that represent 2 different types of things in the game. But we've got 3 regions, New England, New York, and out west. Those are the regions that we're trying to vie for. Ultimately, at the end of the game, if we make it all the way to the end, then whoever controls majority of these 3 regions is going to win. There are ways that you can win earlier than that, but I'll explain that in a bit. So the way that you control these, have majority, is through either shares in the various companies or electrifying various cities. So I will show you a couple city cards first.
A little chilly.
All right. So we've got 2 city cards here, and you can see that they both have the 2 points in the corner. All cities will be worth 2 points for the corresponding region, and they are color-coded based on the regions that they go into. So you've got 3 different colors of regions, and you will have, grab one more to show you, 3 different colors of cards to go with them. So each of those are going to be worth 2 points. So if you were to electrify a city out west, that would go there, worth 2 points. And then the other way that you're getting points are via the shares. So I'll show you a couple different shares here. So I have the Westinghouse and the Edison shares represented here. And on the shares, there's a couple things to note. In this corner, you have the technology required to be able to get these shares. There are 3 different types of technology. There are, now the manual doesn't specify exactly what they're called, but I'm going to go with meters, light bulbs, and resistors. So that's one thing to note, is the 3 different types of technology. You need to have control of that technology to be able to get the corresponding share. And then the other thing to note is this track at the top of the share, and that indicates how many points you have based on how many shares you have in that company. So with this Westinghouse share, if I had 3 shares in Westinghouse, they would be worth a combined total of 6 points. And again, when you get those shares, they will then go into the corresponding region. So Westinghouse is out west, so that would go under the corresponding card for that region. So that's what you're trying to do in this game, is get control of each one. There are bonuses at the end of each round, except for the last round, and the game is played over a total of 3 rounds. So at the end of rounds 1 and 2, there are bonuses that I'll cover when we get to that point. I'm not going to explain everything up front. And then at the end of the 3rd round, no bonuses are given. It's just who has majority in all 3, or who has control in majority of the 3 regions wins the game.
Oh, this is online. Weird Guy of Doom. So, Christian, hello. It's been a while. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope everything's all right with you. I haven't talked to you in a while, so glad you could join us.
Yes.
Now all we need is Nerfenstein.
Yep.
No, I love that as soon as I said it, guess it popped up on the screen.
Welcome.
So, welcome. That is hilarious. And I love that she picks purple for her name because purple's my favorite color. So, great minds think alike. And because I know someone's going to ask, but I don't know if you want to do this.
Sure. The sponsored beverage for this evening. Because we're playing Tesla versus Edison, it's all about having, like I said, electrical supremacy. I figured we had to go with Shock Top. Right in the name. Shock, right? I think that's fit.
I'm even joining in on the action this
So this
time.
is a citrus rattler. It's quite delicious.
And Ripped Punzel has joined us. Hello. Thanks so much for joining.
All right. So that is what you're trying to do in the game. Now, the question is, how do you do it? At the start of a round, we'll start by drafting cards, and these are assistant cards. So before I shuffle that deck, I'm going to show you a couple assistant cards. Preferably ones that have different. I'll go with, no, that's the same, that's the same. Let's do this.
Okay, there we go.
Take that one, that one. All right, let's go with these 2. So when you're looking at an assistant card, it has a luminary of some sort mentioned on it, but then it's the bottom 2 symbols, or sometimes it's only one, that you're looking at for the actions that you can take. You get to take both if there are 2. Sometimes, I'll find an example here. Sometimes there's just, that would just be one action. I'll tell you what the actions are in a second, but most cards have 2 actions, like these, split with the line. You get to take both actions in any order you choose, plus another action type that has to do with selling shares. I'll cover that in a bit. So you can see that these have different symbols on the bottom, and I'll explain those symbols by showing you. They have a player aid here. So these are the different symbols of the actions you can take. The top one, let's move this over this way. Top one is electrifying a city, and that's where you can take one of the location city cards that I was showing you before and put them into the region. There'll be 3 of those face up. And there is a restriction to how you can take those, but I'll explain that as we're doing that. Acquiring a stock is taking a stock from the stocks that are out on the board here and putting them into play. And again, like I said before, you need to have the corresponding technology to do so. Waging propaganda moves you up on the propaganda track, and that's the track that we have going here that I will reset to where it needs to be. Yeah. I'm on 0, you're on 2. Advanced technology is taking the technology chips, which are these, and those are the technologies that you need to have to be able to get the shares, and I'll explain that in a second as well. And lastly, monopolize power is using these no AC, no DC chips. So one side is no AC, one side is no DC, and that's going to try and block out your opponent in terms of electrifying cities.
I don't know what it is. Every time you say that, I want to start singing Thunderstruck.
Of course you do.
Can't help it. Am I the only one?
Not at all. Not at all. All right, so in terms of setup, first thing is lay out your regions. After that, you've got your PR track. Then you choose your inventors. So at this point, you need to decide who is going to be going first. Per the manual, it can be whoever last changed a light bulb. We've got Mandi going first.
Yes.
So when you choose who is first, you're then going to be picking your inventors. Mandi got to choose first, and I will show who you are playing as. Mandi will be playing as Nikola Tesla. And you can see that he specializes in AC current, which means because she chose AC, I needed to pick somebody that specializes in the opposite current, so I'm going with DC, and I chose Monsieur Maxim. Now, this is relevant not just in terms of the type of current, but also there are unique game win conditions. Yes. So, for example, for Mandi, control more cities than your opponent in each region, and control all 3 technologies. So the technologies are these chips. So I've referenced them, but I haven't shown them to you yet. It'd be tricky to show them all together. I'll just show them one at a time. But so we've got what I'm calling meters, light bulb, and resistor. And actually, you know what? I will also show you the backside. The backside actually is I love the art on the backside. Yeah, it shows you sort of the old style bulb there, and the old style meter, and of course the old style resistor as well. However, they don't show up that well on the overhead. So we're gonna use those white sides with the larger symbols so you can see them better. So those are the technology cards, technology chips. My apology. So again, looking at Nikola Tesla, it's control more cities. So the cities would be these ones. Control more cities than your opponent in each region, and all 3 technologies. Now, these win conditions are not very easy to pull off. But if you do, you always check that at the end of the round. If somebody has met one of their conditions, the game is instantly over. If both people have met their conditions, then you just keep on going to the next round.
Yeah, so the chips are really nice. Nerfit's just talking about.
Yes.
Chips are really cool. I actually really like the art. Well, if you couldn't tell, I like retro, so the color palette appeals to me.
Same here,
and it thematically works really well.
Yep. So then I chose Maxim, control 3 or more shares in 3 different minor companies, and be leading on the PR track by 6 or more points. So minor shares are the 6 that we have set aside here. We have our own investor shares. So I am Maxim, which means I have the Maxim shares. Mandi is Tesla, so she has her Tesla shares. And then we each start with one of our shares in the corresponding region. So again, I'll show you another share. So here's my Maxim shares. So light bulb is the specialized technology for these shares. That is the region, New England. And then that's the scoring track. And the scoring track is the same on all shares. So having your preferred or your investor share, or inventor share, sorry, having your inventor share kind of gives you a lead in that region, but can also be used for other things. Now, once you have chosen your initial inventors, whoever is the second place, the second player takes the corresponding specialized technology. So for myself, it's light bulb, and then I get to pick one more. So I'll take the meters, and then whoever's the first player gets the last technology. Okay.
All right.
So we've got our stock shares. We've got that. The minor company shares are all set up, and the way I've set these up so that they can be easier. I know you can't see the technologies on them, but they actually work out to be in pairs. So we've got light bulbs, resistors, and meters. And let's see here. No AC/DC chips are set aside. We've got the technology chips we've already done, and then the city cards. So we've got the first 3 already set out. Mm-hmm. And then the assistant deck. I'll give that one more shuffle.
Yeah, a little shuffle.
And then we'll pretty much be ready to go. Oh, one more thing that I do have already set up that I didn't mention is the PR track. Whoever is going first is actually going to be yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was questioning myself.
Yeah, no. Whoever, yeah, that's right.
whoever is the first player, starts on 2 on the PR track, and whoever is second starts on 0.
Which is unusual.
It is, but it's also the way that we've picked.
Right.
I'm starting with 2 of the technology chips, or I'm starting with 1. Yep. So I'll show you the PR track. I'll give you a bit of a long shot there. Now you can see every 3 points on the PR track, there's a sort of a sunburst symbol. And what that represents is you get to take a free action. You get to do any of these actions every time you hit one of these 3 spots. And then this one is just taking 2 more PR. Now PR is not points at the end of the game. This is not what you're trying to do. You're not trying to dominate the PR track. You're trying to dominate the regions. Mm-hmm. But this serves as a tiebreaker. So if you're tied in a region, whoever is ahead on the PR track will have control of that region. And if it's still tied, then it's whoever has the most technology chips. So again, those are the actions that I showed you on the little cheat sheet. And you get to take one of those for free every time you hit one of these bursts every 3 points.
So Weird Guy of Dooms, Christian, says, like, a lot of publishers are now putting money into chips. So like these, Too Many Bones, etc. Who doesn't love chips? Well, I actually like paper money. I liked it in Millennium Blades. I like it in Food Chain Magnets. I'm sorry, Food Chain Magnet, when people put chips in it, to me, I'm like, you're now ruining the aesthetic of the game. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, you can probably guess what my preference is.
I know what your preference is.
After 7-8 years working in casinos and playing poker for literally decades, I'm not going to say how many years because I will age myself way too much. I'm used to chips in my hand. I know how to. I've spent so many hours at poker tables. I know how to shuffle chips and flip chips, and I can do all kinds of chip tricks with my hands. So chips would be my preference.
Yeah,
now, having said that,
some are good.
Having said that,
yes,
I will say Millennium Blades having the fat stacks of
you
cash.
Need that.
That was fun. That was fun because Millennium
rich.
Blades, for anybody that hasn't seen that, you actually there's some assembly required. Yes. That took us some time, but you basically tape together stacks of 10 bills at a time. So when you're messing with that, you're playing with stacks of cash, and that's fun. But I digress.
It's the great chips debate of 2017. I'm sure I'll be in the minority with the whole chip debate, but for me it's about theme. All right.
Okay, so I think I've covered everything there.
I think you got it all, and if not, we will cover it as we go.
So we were going to start. So the first thing is we each get 3 cards with the assistant cards, and we do a draft.
Thank you.
And the way the draft works is we're going to be passing cards twice. The first time, we will be keeping 1 card passing 2, and then once you have the 3 cards again, you then pass 1. And it doesn't have to be 1 from the 2 that you were given, because you're just looking at the 3 cards as a whole. So maybe you would pass the 1 that you held on the first draft.
It's tough when you get like good cards overall. But I think
so. In terms of strategy at this point, if there's a card that you really want, you might want to hold on to that. But the other way to look at it is if there's a card that you really don't want, or you figure your opponent doesn't want, you might hold on to that so that after the second draft, you can then hand it to your opponent, and then they're stuck with it. They can't pass it back to you. I'm going to hold on to...
I think I'm going to keep this one.
Okay, so pass 2 cards, then looking at all 3 again. Interesting.
Well, that is pretty good. Both are good options.
Interesting. I never get this card.
I know.
And I don't want to just
give
it back to you.
Well, you can keep it, and I can give me something else instead.
And something else to keep in mind during this draft is you're getting to see almost all the cards. You might even get to see all of them, depending on what your opponent does with that card that they held on the first.
So yeah, it's going to require some memory, which I generally don't remember. Okay. Oh, I legit thought you were going to keep it.
Yeah, and I never get to use it, so maybe I should have. I don't know. We'll see. Now, in terms of action, we already said that Mandi is the first player. What that means is, again, the game is played over 3 phases. We play 3 rounds. The first player starts the first round and the third round. So I'll be starting the second round. So you're first.
All right. What do I want to do? Oh, I kind of like where that's going. So I will be playing Mr. Robert Underwood Johnson. And I will take the action where I get to move up on the track. So I will move 1.
Yep.
Additionally, because we don't have to do this in order, I am going to take portfolio action.
Okay.
And place one of my stocks in New York.
I'm going to just pause you there.
Sure.
Because you mentioned the one thing that I haven't shown yet. And I said I'd do that when we did it. And right away we're doing it. So looking on the back side of the player aid, the bottom here is portfolio actions. Now, this is something you get to do once per turn, but you don't have to do it. The first part is placing a share. So as I said, we started with 5 shares in our in our company, the first one is already out in the corresponding region. Placing a share is taking one of the remaining 4 that are set aside and placing it in that region. So like I said, it kind of gives you a head start in that region. Or you can sell a share, and it doesn't have to be from your company. You can sell any share that you have out on the board to take a free action. So what'll happen is, usually, your shares, once per turn, will be going into the region. So for myself, it's New England. For Mandi, it's New York. But at some point, you might start selling those shares because an extra action is going to be more valuable than the extra points that these shares are bringing you. So it will really depend. Okay, so I interrupted you there.
No, it's totally fine.
Moved on the PR track. You placed that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you take your free action for the PR track?
I have not yet taken my free action, and I actually still have that other action. So if I'm for my free action, I'm actually going to take the city cards and place that here in New England. So Providence is going to go there.
So that was that building action that's on Mandi's assistant card. That is electrify a city. So she just electrified Providence.
I did that using my free action.
Oh, that was the free action?
Yeah,
okay.
But I'm actually going to take this action again.
Sure.
And I will place in out west. I will place St. Louis. In St. Louis. And that will be the end of my turn, and this card is discarded.
Okay, so there is a lot of push and pull. This is a tug of war game, right? Where we're vying for balance, vying for control in the 3 regions. It will be tight. My first action, let's see here.
I'm nervous. It's really close in this game all the time.
It is. Okay. I am going to start with JP Morgan.
Okay. I don't know why I think of either beer banks, but...
It's definitely financial, that's for sure.
Yes, I know.
So with Mr. Morgan, I can, and I will, be putting one of these no AC, no DC chips into play. I am representing DC, which means I'll be putting it on the no AC side. And that means that Mandi will not be able to electrify a city in whatever region I put this chip.
I wonder where you're going to place it.
So what that means is that Mandi can no longer put city cards into New England until she takes the action to flip that chip to the other side. So with that, and I'll show that once more. So with this AC/DC action here, you are either putting the chip into play or flipping a chip that is already in play. So Mandi could take the action to flip it to the no DC side, and then I am unable to electrify cities in that region. So that's my first action. Second action, I get a share. So to get shares, you need to have control of the corresponding technology. I currently control the light bulb and meter technologies, which means I can take Edison or Walker for light bulb, or the Westinghouse or Insull.
Insull?
Yes, for the meter. Where would I like to go with that? I'm going to go Westinghouse. Out west. That suits. And then I get my portfolio action of either placing a share or selling a share. Now, when you sell a share, as I said, it can be any shares that you control, but it can also be the ones that are set aside of your shares. However, once your shares have been sold, they're out of the game and no longer available. Whereas if it's a minor share that neither of the 2 players own in terms of their own company, then it goes back into the supply and can be purchased again. But I will be using this action to put another share into New England. And that is my turn.
All right. Well, I think we'll just use Miss Sarah Bernhardt to move 3 of track 1, 2, 3. Which also allows me a free action. So it's funny, it seems like that's a waste, but it's not, because this track actually is really important. So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, and that's why that card only has the 1 action. It's for 3 steps on the PR track, which, 1, will always, no matter where you are, get you a free action, because it's every 3 spots you get that free action on the track. So it does get you the free action. 2, the PR track does break ties. And this will be a close race on all of them. So if you can break a tie with that, then even better. Plus, some of the requirements, the instant win requirements on your cards, do require you, for example, for mine, I'll read that again, control 3 or more different minor companies and be leading on the PR track by 6.
Yeah.
I'm already behind by 6. So for me to get this, I need at least 12 more PR without Mandi moving at all. So this early in the game, I'm almost already thinking, this is not going to happen.
So to finish my action, so I get a free action here. I'll be building. So I'll be taking Syracuse and placing that in New York. And that is going to end my turn.
Yeah, all right. And you do need to keep in mind what your opponent's win condition is, because it's different for each inventor, and there are 8 inventors in the box. So you want to keep in mind what that is, because they could be working towards that without you even noticing. Mandi came close last time.
I was so close.
Yeah. And I ended up getting 1 condition. I did actually control 3 shares of 3 different minor companies, but I wasn't even close on the 6-point lead on the PR track.
It's really hard. It's difficult.
Okay, I'm going to continue locking things down with H.G. Wells.
Nice.
So another AC/DC chip comes in.
I'm glad you asked that, Never seen. Now, I wish there were more. So the question is, are there female inventors in it too? And if so, how many of the 8? So I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed that it was just 1 and it just happened to be a woman and a person of color kind of all wrapped into 1 inventor. So I'm hoping that changes for future games like these. So I think it's who is it in this one?
Madam Walker.
Madam Walker.
Let's see if
Yeah, so that's the one that's there. Now it's not to say there are not other people of color in the game.
Yeah, there are some luminaries in play as well.
Or women as well.
Sandra Bernhardt,
Yeah. So, but as in for like the main inventors, it's just the one. So yes, I was a little disappointed with that. I mean, in history, I'm pretty sure there are more, but like I said, I'm hoping if they continue with this, like I feel this could be a game that maybe they can continue with, that they can maybe add packs or other inventors. So there you go. There's an idea for Artana if they're listening.
I know that was an issue with their first Tesla versus Edison game, which I also love. I have that as well. And I think the original game, the base inventors, I'm not sure if there were any female, but then they were able to add them.
Yeah, I think that was it, and then they
with
added
stretch because
them.
they were able to add them, then they had, so they were able to get a lot of female luminaries in. And,
so maybe it's like an extra, like a pack or like a promo pack. Like, I mean, I would love, I remember we were talking about it, was the first thing I asked. I'm like, so is that the only, female, person of color is like main inventor? So if they did like a promo pack, I'd be all over it. So.
Okay, so that was the no AC action here. So I've got Mandi locked out of out west and New England.
Going to town there.
And then my second action is taking 2 on the PR track. Woohoo. Before I go any further, you did take a second turn, right?
Yeah, because this is my last
You
turn.
did not take a portfolio
I
action.
did. I apologize. So, yes, I should have done
It's not
that.
mandatory, but there's really no reason.
I might as well take advantage, so I apologize. Yeah, so I should have placed one here on my portfolio action, so we'll take a little bit of a mulligan there.
Yep, that's okay.
Thank you.
And with the stream, it's also easy to forget stuff.
Yeah, sorry, that's me. I'm chatting away.
So then I will also take the portfolio action to get a third share out of my company. That's me.
Okay, for
So
my
we
last
have one more
action,
card each.
play Mr. William Stanley Jr. So I will be removing flipping an AC/DC chip. So I'll flip this one here to DC. No, I lied. I'll change this one to DC.
Okay.
And then I get to place a stock. However, you know what? Before I forget, I'm going to take this action, my portfolio action, and do this because Lord knows I'll forget. And then I get to place a minor stock. So I can only take one with the resistor on it. So right now, I think we're going to go with brush, which has a little resistor on it, and we're going to place it over in the pink area.
Perfect. Out west.
Go west.
Okay, that's you.
That is me.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Henry Villard.
All right. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Let me see here. we will be scoring the regions after this. So that's where the advantage of second player comes in, is I now have final say in terms of what these are going to be looking like, although they can modify during the bonus scoring at the end of the round, and I'll explain that when we get to that point. And that's part of why the first player actually gets a 2-point lead on the PR track as well. So it's there's all kind of balances in here. You know, second player gets 2 technology chips to start, but first player gets 2 points on the PR track. All right, so I get a share. You've got 3 points out west.
Mm-hmm.
So the best I could do with a share is tie. And you're going to break ties at the PR track. Well, that's no good.
Oh, goodness.
Let me see here. Well, I'm definitely not getting any control in New York. That is all you right now. So my share, I'm going to go with Westinghouse. So again, I do have the meter technology required for Westinghouse shares. I'll put that there. 2 shares gives me 3 points. And right now, Mandi has 3 points as well.
But you're going to have free action.
That 1 on the PR track does get me to 3, which gets me a free action. Indeed, it does.
Yeah. I was like,
I'm going to take another share.
I'm like, why are we even calculating this? You know
Indeed.
you're going to get a free action.
Indeed. And then
I
for
got
my
some
portfolio
draw.
action, I'll get another one of my own shares out. Okay, so that's the end of phase 1. And again,
Yes.
it's played over 3 phases. So now we go into the bonus scoring. The first thing you do is you check and see, did anybody meet their personal win condition? So I
am actually
cutting it close. I did not even realize that you had one in each city.
So I'm actually partially winning. Completing my objective because I control more cities than my opponent. However, I need to also have all 3 technologies.
Yes.
Which I do not.
So like I said, you need to pay attention to what your opponent's doing, because they may be sneaking up on their personal victory condition, which ends the game at the end of a phase before you can even get to the end for the final scoring. So pay attention to that. I am nowhere near mine because I need to have 3 or more shares in 3 different minor companies. I've only got 1.
Right.
Mine is not a minor company because that's my own personal inventor company. Mm-hmm. And then I also need to be leading on the PR track by 6, and I'm still behind by 3. So that's the first thing you do at the end of the phase, though, is see if anybody has met their conditions. If neither player has met, then you carry on to the next phase. If both players have met, you carry on to the next phase. If one player has met, then they win. You don't even carry on. But nobody has met, so then we start looking at each individual region.
Right.
So we look at New England first.
It's pretty clear that you've won that.
With 4 shares in the same company, that's worth 8 points, and Mandi has 2 with the city. So I'm going to show you New England. New England has the 3 PR symbols there, which means I get to move up 3 on the PR track.
Nice.
So each region has its own bonus when you get to the end of the phase. And because I am moving up 3 on the PR track, that also means I get an extra action. I get a free action.
So just interrupt. Nerfison
Yes.
says, so this could be a super short game. Yes.
Yes.
It plays in, I think, 15 to 30 minutes.
Yep.
I think ours have generally gone along the 30 minutes line, but we're doing a bit more talking than thinking. But definitely a very good lunchtime game or short game if you're looking for someone who maybe doesn't like those longer games.
Yeah. Once you've got 2 players that know the game, you can easily hit the shorter end of that range for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Last week was our 3-hour and a bit game.
Yeah.
So this is our shorter game.
Right, and then we'll be back to slightly longer next week.
Okay, so I get my 3 PR, and then that also means I automatically get 1 free action because again, every 3 gets you a free action.
See, you wouldn't have to worry about it anyway if there was a tie.
I am going to. I need to start getting some buildings in play, don't I? Or electrifying some cities, I should say.
I would highly
because of
recommend
your So, as we've pointed out, Mandi is very close to her personal win condition because all she needs is more cities electrified in each region than myself, and control all 3 technologies. Just by the fact that she has 1 in each, she's already leading each one.
Yeah.
So I would like to electrify a city. I cannot go in out west, because that has the no DC symbol. So the only place I can go right now, based on the 3 that are available, would be New England.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Electrify City action. I will also say something else you can do with the Electrify City action is just wipe the board and put 3 new ones out there. I am going to get New Haven. So I don't need that for control of that region because I've already got a strong foothold there. But I do need to make sure I at least have a tie, if not more cities than Mandi, in at least one region to prevent that win condition. Now, after you've taken the bonus for the region, the second place player gets to do a secondary action, which is one of the bottom 2 on the card. Advanced Technology, which is taking one of the technology chips from the other player, or Monopolized Power, which is using the AC/DC chips. The easiest way to remember the actions that you can do as a minor action is you're manipulating one of the chips, whether it's the technology chips or the AC/DC chips.
Right.
So, as the second place player, indeed, locking me out of New England. So now we move on to New York. Clearly, Mandi's got the lead there. So Mandi gets to take a share. So I'll show the New York card. I haven't shown these region cards yet. So there's New York, and the corresponding bonus here is taking a share.
And I'll be taking the brush company and placing that here.
And then I get to take the secondary action. Before I do that, these 2 bonus actions, I'll give you a bit of a spoiler before we get to Out West. That one is Electrifying a City. Taking a share, you normally need to have the corresponding technology to do so, as I've said. Right. When it's a bonus like this at the end of the phase, you do not need the technology. You can take any share you want. Same thing with the Electrifying a City. You would normally have to follow the no AC or no DC chips, but in this case, you can electrify a city in any region, regardless of where those chips are located. So I get my secondary action of messing with a chip. This is where I was saying I was leading at the start of the scoring phase, but because you always do these in order, and they must be done in order, they do have an A, B, C on the bottom, it can actually change the lead in the later regions as you're scoring them. So pay attention to that too. So I'm still at 6.
Yeah, I'm at 5.
And you're at 5. Very close. So to modify a chip, I think I will say no AC.
No AC.
So then we go to Out West, and that is getting to electrify a city. I am 1 point ahead.
Unfortunately, too bad there's no New York there for you.
There is no New York. I'm going to go with Boston. So as I was saying, for the bonus phase, you do not have to follow those chips.
Oh, well, hello.
So I get to place out here, even though that says no DC. Okay. And then you get the secondary action of playing with chips.
Okay. I will take one of these.
Okay. Now we go into phase 2.
Yeah.
So we're back to drafting our hand of 3 assistants.
That's very funny. Oh, that actually worked out quite nicely.
So second round, the second player leads. That would be myself.
Lots to think about. I still don't think it'll end this round, though. I mean, I'm close. Actually. Not quite. Almost.
I'm going to make sure you do not. I do have a lead now in New England. I just need to make sure I control at least one region in terms of cities to prevent that instant win condition for Nikola Tesla. I think what I'll do going to go with Mr. Stetson. So if he lets me take a share, again, following the technology requirements. So right now I've only got light bulb. And electrifying a city, following the chips. So I cannot place in New England as it stands right now. But as I said before, you can take all of your actions in any order. And that also goes with the portfolio action of placing or selling a share. So if I wanted to, just as an example, I'm not actually going to do this right now, but what I could do is I could sell off this maximum share to take a free action first, flip this over, and then that would allow me to electrify a city in New England if I wanted to do that. So the order that you take these actions in can be quite important.
Very
But having said all of that, I will start with taking a share.
Okay. Which one?
That is the question.
That is
definitely the question. I'm going to go with a Walker share, which is for out west. Putting that separate because it is a separate company. So it wouldn't count as 4 shares. What I have is 3 shares worth 6 and 1 share worth 1. You'd want to separate the companies. The second one is electrifying a city.
Portfolio action as well.
I'm just not sure what I'm going to do with that yet.
Understood. So we have other plans potentially.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, boy. Holy Toledo. And for my portfolio action, I'm just going to get my 5th share out. That's me.
All right. What do I want to do? So many good options. I don't necessarily want to do that yet. I've got some plans here. Well, actually, so going to play Mr. Harold P. Brown.
Okay.
I'm going to change this to
no DC.
No DC. I get to build.
Electrify a city.
So yes, we will be doing that. And I will be doing that here.
Okay. That's a lot of New York.
Yeah, I was hoping that it would not be a lot of that.
No, that's too bad.
I know. Isn't it though?
I don't mind that.
I do actually kind of mind that. But that being said,
there's an action you can take to get rid of them.
That is true.
So like I was saying, for the Electrify City action, it's not just take one of these. If you want, if you don't like any of them, you can wipe them as well and put out 3 new ones.
I've already taken that. However, I will... Oh, dear. No, I think I will leave that as it is. I refuse to wipe it.
And did you want to place your last share?
I should probably do that. I was thinking about that, but I will do so. All right.
The only problem with wiping it is you might see 1 or 2 that you need,
Somebody
but your
else
opponent has first shot at it on their turn.
Hence the
They
reason
might not have the ability to actually electrify a city, but you don't know that necessarily.
That's why I didn't want to do it.
It's a tough one to pull off, for sure. I think I've only done it once in all the games we've played.
All right, I am done.
Okay. So as you can see at this point, I've kind of given up on New York. I'm seeing what I can do on the outside regions, New England and out west. Now, this is something that I kind of mentioned before we streamed, is that it's a tough game to be able to discuss strategy with you guys because you don't want to say exactly what you're doing, what you're planning. But I think it's kind of obvious what I'm doing at this point.
Yeah,
I've said, you know what? You can have New York. Now I need to make sure I do hold on to those other 2.
Yes. Feel free to wipe these as an action. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind that? Okay. Mr. Carnegie.
Alrighty.
He's going to get me a share. So I will take another Walker share. And he gets me 1 on the PR track.
That is nice.
That is rare. I hardly
I know.
ever lead on the PR
Always
track.
me, actually. This is the first time, but I've got some cards that didn't really give me
I was
much
obviously
opportunity.
hopeful today because I took a card that requires me to be 6 or more ahead on the PR track. I don't know what I was thinking, but... And then I can take a portfolio action if I wish. I no longer have any of my own shares to place, but I can still, if I wish, sell off one of the shares that I have out on the board to take another free action. The only debate is there an action that I feel like I need to take right now? No, I don't think there is.
No?
No, I'm good. So that's me.
Darn. It's too bad. I was hoping you'd take something else. Okay.
I am not waiting. If I've given up on New York, I'm clearly quite happy with that scenario.
That's very true. But I don't want to wipe it. I don't want to wipe it. Although, no, that's not going to work for me either. Well, this makes me very sad, but I think I'm going to have to actually... Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold the phone. Boop. All right, I'm going to take this.
That would be a different game. That would have Alexander Graham Bell. And
I know, right? So I'm going to use Dr. Frederick Peterson.
Okay.
Going to move up one. So we're vying for that there. And then I'm actually going to use one of my stocks here.
Okay.
To get that. It's going to be out of the game now.
Yep.
Bye-bye. There we go. Ah, there she blows. There she blows. And now I will take this fun little action. And I will put Pittsburgh in here. Hello, welcome home. And I think I can only do one of those on my turn. Trust me, otherwise I'd be more than happy to do more than once.
Yeah, only one portfolio action.
But that's going to be the end of my turn.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything else I can do.
Right.
Oh, the phone. It's so funny. When I said it, I didn't even think about it. It just came out.
Yeah,
but it is.
We need Alexander Graham Bell if somebody's going to be holding the phone.
It is appropriate.
Okay, you're still going to get to play after me.
Mm-hmm.
You currently have 3, 5, 7 points out west.
Oh, yeah. I'm not worried about points at this stage of the game.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do.
Uh-oh, I'm a bit nervous here.
Well, I really need to watch your insta-win condition there. I haven't been doing that well with controlling electrifying cities. I've got Benjamin Lamb, I think is how that would be pronounced.
Yeah, no accent. Yeah, I'm right.
But before I do either of those actions, I will take a portfolio action first.
Mm-hmm.
So to take the portfolio action at this point, I have to sell one of my shares. I'm going to sell one of my personal shares, which means out of the game. And I'm going to take the action of flipping this.
Yeah, I thought you might.
No AC out west. Now I'll carry on to my card. So the first one here, they don't need to be done in order, but the first one is technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I will take, let's see here, which technology do I wish to have? I'll take the meter technology. And then the second one is electrifying a city.
Thought you might take
Good old
that.
Cincinnati.
WKRP, Cincinnati.
Look who's aging themselves now.
Man,
And of course, I know what you're talking about. But
exactly. I used to love that show.
So that's me. So you
Okay.
get last play for the round.
Alrighty. So I'll be playing Edwin W. Rice, which allows me to place my stock and to multiply city. So since, well, you know, that's this is kind of out of my hands at the moment, I will actually start with Lowell. So I'm going to take this action first of electrifying the city, placing that here in New England, and then I will Righto, righto. Pull. Scottish might win this. I thought turkeys can fly. I'm gonna.
That's from WK.
Well, no, I know. I was gonna say it's been a long time. This is great. I love when people know shows that I know. Like, so anybody who listened to the podcast I did with Suzanne, I think I caught her off guard. Not that she didn't know the show, just she didn't know the references. We're laughing. If you haven't seen it,
I knew it right away and texted you immediately saying what it was.
Anyways, it's hilarious. Even if you just listen to that clip of us talking, it's quite funny. So now I need to stop.
I mean, I don't know any of these shows. They're way before my time.
Right. So I'm going to take this one here. Okay. That's my other action here.
Yep. So Mandi is limited. She only has the resistor technology, so she was only able to take Brush or Thompson shares.
And then I will, because I won't be using that. Okay, and that was just really weird. And we'll do, oh my goodness. I want to do something, but I feel like it might be a waste if I do it, so. It's a potential waste, but I don't think so. No, okay, that's it for now.
So I have said that I've given up on New York, but I am watching Mandi because if she commits too many of those shares, and I think that's what she's worried about right now. Again, it's hard to discuss strategy openly, but I'm going to try. If she sells off too many of those shares, she might open the door for me to start building up in New York and take a lead. You only need to lead by 1 point. That's she's a little worried that if she sells off too many,
might be a problem.
It might open the door for me.
So I think that'll end it there. And Nerf and Seed, that was a big show, even here in Australia. I love it. Mind you, I have friends from Australia, and they watch a lot of Canadian shows. From what I've heard, a lot of Canadian shows air in Australia. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I have friends from Australia who knew like Degrassi and some like other Canadian shows. It was very interesting.
All right, so you're done with this one?
Yes, we're done.
So that's the end of the second round. So then we look. Is anybody leading or winning their instant win condition? I'm not even close.
No, and I don't have...
You do have the lead there now. Did I watch you take that third city? You're sneaking cities onto the board, aren't you? So right now, the only thing that's stopping me, it's these. But also, I'm tied here. I really need to watch out for those cities. Okay. She's sneaky.
I know. Just like that. Oh my god, Degrassi. Yeah, for sure. Degrassi was huge. I have to share this quickly. Found a company that makes shirts that are Canadian, and they have... So if you're a Degrassi fan, you will know this. So they have shirts that say the Zit Remedy. So Nerdstein, if you're interested, I could potentially order one. And if you're interested in one, I can definitely get one for you. So let me know, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay, so nobody has their instant win condition. So then we go on to the bonuses for each region. And what are we at here? I didn't actually count this up. 2, 4, 6, and 1 is 7. And then I've got, so I've got 8,
you're
10,
definitely
12.
beating me
so
there.
I'm leading here, so that gives me the 3 PR points. Blue, 1, 2, 3. Which, of course, also gives me a free action. I need to worry about cities, don't I?
No, I don't have these. That's the problem. You can worry about these. I don't have these, and I would have to get the correct cards to get them.
And it is possible, but you could also, start selling those off, hoping that I don't start pushing here.
True.
Because if you can meet your win condition, none of this matters, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to use it to electrify a city, and I can out west because I have it flipped over. Let's go for some deep dish pizza in Chicago.
Ugh, you're killing me. Now I'm there.
Right. But then you get the secondary action of chip manipulation. Yeah. And just that alone can start, now you've got 2, right?
Right.
So, you don't give up on that. Mine, I'm not going to get there.
Yeah.
Yours, you could get
potential.
there.
It's potential.
So now we go to New York. It's close, but I think you've got the lead in that one, so you get a share.
I get a share, which is something. So at least I have a bit more selection this go around.
So again, for bonuses, you don't have to follow the chip requirement. So in this case, the technology chips are irrelevant. She can take any share.
I think we're going to go with New England. A share in New England.
Okay. And then I get the secondary action of chip manipulation.
Mm-hmm. A little too close for comfort.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then we look
It's clear that you've...
out west. I've got...
a lot.
Most, okay. We won't do the math on that. And for that one, I get to electrify a city.
Yep.
And again, bonus, I don't have to pay attention to the chips for this.
Brings back memories.
For that, I do want to do the math. What do I have here? 6, 9, and 6 is 15. And you have 6. Okay. I think maybe what I'll do is I'll start putting a little bit of pressure in New York.
All right.
Let's see what that does. And then again, secondary action, chip manipulation.
We'll do that.
All right. Final round.
Final round. Thank you.
Last card drafting.
Very interesting. And
what am I hoping to do here? Or more importantly, what am I hoping to prevent you from doing that? That is, yeah, that's kind of key. I wanted this, but I think more importantly, I don't want you to have that. So.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Interesting.
That's an easy one. Or is it? Ooh. I could also do that. No, I think that's a tough one. That is a really tough one. I'm sorry, I need a minute. Okay.
That works.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was hoping I wouldn't get that card back, but I did.
You're getting that back.
Did Michael just 8-draft a card?
Yes, totally did. Absolutely, it is a viable, strategy for sure.
Oh goodness gracious! Okay.
Okay, so you're first player. You start the third round.
Right. Oh, so with that being said, I think we're gonna have to pitter patter, get at her. So I'm gonna play Mark Twain. And I will go 1, 2, 3 on the PR track.
That's the card that I did not get to see during the draft.
Yep,
okay.
That's what I picked, because now it's going to give me an action of my choice, which will allow me to potentially play a little bit of catch-up here. So I've decided to electrify a city.
Okay.
And
would you like to weaken yourself in New York?
Yeah, what? I don't mind if I do.
Okay.
And by doing so, I will do this.
Getting a little worried. Okay.
Okay, there we go. I got lots of New York there. Mark Twain, person I'd most like to meet when asked that question in a game of who you would like to meet, who's no longer with us. You know, and I too would be interested because... And maybe because, when I was younger, he was writing a lot of books and touching on a lot of subjects that was a little controversial. So it's one of the minds I'd be curious as to why, and I don't know. That's a good one. That's a good one. There's an 8-draft. That's becoming a thing now. 8-draft. I'm using that on the podcast. So I'm stealing your idea. These are the one. I may have to steal that phrase from you. I will give you credit.
So you're done with Mr. Twain?
Indeed.
So what have you done here? You just electrified 2 more cities. That's making me a bit nervous. You also have me locked out west.
Yeah, but you could potentially come into New York.
Okay, don't try and divert my attention elsewhere. She likes to do that. Don't look at this. Look at this over here. No, I know to ignore what she's saying. She always plays innocent. I don't know what I know you know what you're doing. You're at 11. I've got 6, 9.
I think you're still beating me.
Yes. For now. Okay, 15, 11, right?
Potentially see what my next card's going to be.
And you have the lead there. You have the lead there. Okay. Let's see here.
always come down to the wire in this game. I'm like cool and chill. Michael's like, oh my gosh. And then in the end, he ends up winning anyway.
Okay, Mr. Chandler's coming into play.
Oh boy. That can't be good.
And I will do the AC/DC action first.
I have a strong suspicion where you're doing that.
Opening up the door in New England.
Yep. Thought you might.
And then the second action is 2 points on the PR track, which gets me another action, which now that the door is open, I'm going to get another city electrified in New England.
And
Perhaps.
Another action?
Although I'm kind of liking, we're back to all yellow in the.
I definitely think selling off one of those shares could be.
What are you trying to do?
Nothing. You're already winning there. It's not like you need them.
Yeah. Huh. Huh. Comes down to what action would I do, even if I did.
Yes.
Could do that. I want to do that.
Needs the one. I love that tweet. I will be retweeting.
Sorry, 1 second. Uno momento, por favor.
I have a lowly 6, 9.
I do not trust you. No, I'm not.
That's unfortunate for me. Okay.
Sorry for the wait. I needed to do a bit of math there.
It's fine. Huh. I definitely like where that's going. Oh, so we have someone in the Strider CRB. I played this at Gen Con. Biggest regret, I didn't pick it up there. Honestly, I wasn't even looking at it until my friend JR, who is one of the designers on the game, was like, Mandy, you need to play this. And I wanted to get it on Kickstarter, but it was like, I think it was the shipping. It was really
The shipping
expensive.
was a little prohibitive. I did end up going in on the shipping because I have all of the Artana games and I've loved everything they've put out. So I kind of swallowed the pill on the shipping to get it here. I don't have it yet. We're playing Mandy's copy from Gen Con. Yeah. But I'm hoping the Kickstarters do come in soon. I think they're getting them in port. Last time I checked, they're arriving in port soon.
Very soon.
Yeah, it'll be happening.
I think it'll be
soon.
really great. So so definitely one. If you are able to pick it up, you should. Needs of the one. Mandy found Michael's weakness. Remove dice from the game. Yeah, because we all know that's my Achilles heel.
Yes,
Holy lifting. Okay, so I think.
Speaking of which, did you see the comment on the Apocrypha playthrough last week?
No.
Needs of the one. I don't know if you saw that or not. Somebody pointed out that I'm not sure what the timestamp was. They commented on it on BGG.
Okay.
A die moves on its own.
Okay, I did see that.
It was like somewhere, I'm going to say around the 48-minute or 50-minute
Did you check it out? Did it actually?
I went back and I watched it multiple times. I have no idea what's happening there.
Like, it actually does it?
Yeah. So I take 3 dice, I move it over, and we keep talking, and it's sitting one way, it flips over to the other side.
Okay, that's weird. Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
And during
you can go back and check. Yes. And that's what I said. Obviously, we released something when we opened that box. So,
okay, we're not playing that game anymore. Oh my gosh. Sorry, that just moved. Nope.
So this is happening at my place. I know the situation here.
Whoa.
I went back and I watched that a few times. I have no idea what happened to that die.
That is so wrong.
It's quite freaky.
Even funny.
I like it.
Yeah, no. No. I don't mess around with that. So I'm actually going to take this action first.
I should be paying attention to what you're doing. Sneaking more stuff out here.
So, this is going to be, I'm going to remove that, take that portfolio action that's out of the game.
Selling that for a free action.
Right. And that I will use to take this from you.
Okay.
And then I will take this for this action here.
Yep. So Mandy has the take a share action on her card, but the share she wanted, she didn't have the technology. So that's why she sold off one of her shares first, so that she could take the corresponding technology chip and then grab the share that she wanted.
Okay, so that's out of the game. So that is my turn.
Okay.
What video is the dice thing? Last week's video, yeah, it was in Apocrypha.
It was in Apocrypha, yeah. The comment is on the video post on BGG.
On BGG, okay. Oh, and the Czech Frank, well, welcome. And yeah, that's super creepy. Like, I am all about scary movies. Like, hello, our channel's called To Die. 4 games with a die with blood dripping off. Love horror. I don't like when stuff like that, supernatural, happens to me. So...
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for it. I don't know. I'd like to believe in stuff, but I don't.
No,
I watched that video. Anyway, so I will say I was playing 7th Continent on the weekend with my girlfriend. And speaking of thematic, so Apocrypha was thematic with that die moving. Don't know
right.
how. Playing 7th Continent, we're playing, and we're that's a game all about adventure. You're lost on this island, and you're trying to find your way through and remove a curse. In the middle of a game, a spider, a nice big spider, actually comes up onto the table and starts running across the board. Boom, thematic. So now that I've said that, if we get shocked right now,
exactly.
You know why. It's something that I'm doing to bring the games to life, obviously.
Oh, see? Okay, I was just about to say, if Susan's online, she's like, the jungle came to us.
Yeah, it totally did.
I'm sorry, I'm totally creeped out right now.
Yeah.
Okay. No more spiders.
So I digress. Yeah, okay, we're a little off base here. So back to the game. I'm going to play Mr. Kennelly. Arthur E. Kennelly.
Mm-hmm. So you'll be pilfering one of my...
Yeah, I'm taking that back. I was trying to keep that away from you, but you can't avoid those portfolio actions. You can't necessarily anticipate your opponent doing that because they can do that at any point, taking the free action. So I am taking that back. And then I get to grab a share. So what have you done here? 2, 4, 6, you got 3 is another 6 is 12. Yep, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yep. Oh, you're creeping up there, eh? We cannot have that. So I think what I'll do... That is the only share for me.
Okay, that's it. Oh, shit.
We'll grab that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Selling off. You can. It'll just be tight.
It will be. Oh, boy. There's only the one share left there. Okay. So this may look a little odd. What I'm about to do is going to net me 0 points. I'm going to sell off one of my Maxim shares so that I can buy one of the Thompson shares.
Right.
Ultimately, I drop 2 points on Maxim shares. I gain 2 points on Thompson shares. But I've taken the last share that's actually available for New England, and I currently have Mandi locked out of electrifying cities in there. So I'm hoping that can at least slow down her progress in that region. And that is me.
All right, so unfortunately, I wish I had more actions, but we will have to make do with what we've got. So, with that being said, so I think first things first, we're going to take this.
Okay.
And then I think we will sell one of these.
Okay. Opening the door in New York.
Well, for now.
Okay.
To take this. And then my action to build, I will build here. Oops, sorry. On my side, not on ours. I was looking over there.
Oh, man, you had me worried for a second there.
No.
You're 1 city short.
Oh, I know.
Whew. So that's how close or how quickly somebody can creep up on their personal win condition. Again, Mandi's is control more cities in each region. She's got 1 more than me there, 1 more than me there. We're tied in New England. The second condition is have all 3 technology chips, which she does. So you're 1 city away. That was your turn?
Yeah, yes, so I'm done. And yes, he locked me out there. Or someone, now people are waiting for electricity to like build on the table. Yeah, that would not
Make sure
good.
You're grounded somehow. Okay, and before we get to that final round, I will say there is no bonuses in the final round. The bonuses are only in round 1 and round 2. At the end of this round, then we tally up who has the most control in the region.
That's not looking good for me.
No,
But
I think I do have it. Before I play this, I'll make sure. So 6, 9, 15.
yeah,
You've
very
got
close.
6, and 6 is 12. Okay. So then this one, I haven't checked this one lately, and you've been good at sneaking cards in.
But I think you're still beating me here.
6, 9, and 6 is 15.
And 11.
Okay. So, Mr. Bachelor, I will take. If I want that, I'll take a light bulb, and then I get a share. And I'll go with a water share. And then, if I wanted to, I could take the portfolio action, but that is not necessary at this point. All right, so that is the end of the third phase. So then we just go straight into, well, the first thing is you check the win conditions here.
So close.
Which Mandi was very close on. They are hard to hit, but she was very close. So if she did have one more city electrified in New England, that would be game over. We don't even go to the final scoring. And yeah, you came up on that just.
But the problem is because
really
I
quick.
committed to that, it means I've locked myself out of winning on points.
Yeah, it would be I think, very near to impossible to focus on trying to get that instant win condition and still be competitive for the end game scoring. You almost have to decide. Early on, I ditched that, and I ditched New York. All I did was focus on New England and out west to try and control those as best I could.
Exactly.
Okay, so neither of us met that win condition, so then we go into the final scoring. So looking at New England, what did I say, 6, and 3 is 9, and 6 is 15.
Yeah, and I had 9.
Okay, so that's 1 for me.
Yeah.
That is clearly for you, so that's tied 1-1, and then it's whoever has the most here. So 6 is 12, and another 6 is 18.
2, and I have 11.
There you go.
There you go. Ah!
So it does play quite quickly.
Yeah, so we'll pop over to the other side. There we go. So yeah, so super quick game.
Yep.
Like I was saying before, because I committed to trying to do this objective specifically, if I didn't complete it, which happened in this case, it was next to impossible for me to catch up in any sort of way for points. However, that's a decision you make.
And like I said, it can be quite easily pulled off in the sense, like they're hard to do, but your opponent might not be watching that because this is what you're watching. You're watching what's happening on the board. That objective, even though it is open information, you're not necessarily paying attention to what's happening on that card, and she very closely got that there. Yeah.
So I have yet to play the original. I shouldn't say the original, but I guess the first kind of games that came out for
Tesla versus Edison.
Right, I haven't played any of them. But it seems interesting, and I think after playing this, it makes me want to see more from the series of games. So that's why I think I may have to try Tesla versus Edison to see, if it's something that I would enjoy. Like I definitely like the way this plays, so I'm assuming there's some similarities there.
Yeah.
But I find any game we've played, there's always been a little bit of tension, which I like. So it's close. After every round, it's like, oh, you almost did that, or oh, you almost won on points, or do you know what I mean? But I also like the fact that you get benefits. So yes, you're not, even though you consistently may win a category, I'm still getting something out of it to kind of change the outcome of the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, there is small box, but there's some deep game here in terms of strategies, in terms of ways to do things, because there are the multiple share types to try and control, plus having the cities and the different ways that you can be grabbing those cards, or alternatively blocking out your opponent. That was my final step, was make sure that Mandi could not get another city in here unless she had enough actions on her card to flip that and electrify a city, but you would also had to have wiped as well because there were none there. So it would have required 3 very specific actions to get that city out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So overall, for me, I really enjoy this game. Every time we've played it, like nothing is worse to me than playing a game and you feel awful. You feel awful about yourself. You feel awful about your gameplay. You just feel awful. Even though I lost, I still felt like I contributed and really committed to the strategy I was going for.
Yep.
It didn't work out, but that's the risk you take. And you kind of know that in this game. It's still fun. So, I don't know. For me, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm a sucker for the theme and colors, but quick, that's
right?
it.
So say you do commit to that strategy of, I'm just going to go for my personal win condition, and it crashes and burns, fails horribly. Well, in 15, 20 minutes, you could set them up again and go again.
Oh, so Needs are the one, yeah, I was talking. Do you, Michael, have the original Tesla versus Edison?
Yep.
So I do not, but Michael does.
Yeah, I have everything from Artana. So I do have the original
Right.
Tesla versus Edison, plus the Powering Up expansion, plus the, which company did that? I've got the custom insert for it as well. So
Right.
yeah, I can't remember if that was... I can't remember which company made that insert.
And so the Chuck Frank, I see your question. We're going to come back to that as soon as we finish kind of this review. It's a good question, so we're going to come back to it. So looking here, I've never seen. She just watched the ghost dice. It's almost like they're magnetic. She believes in science, not ghosts. So unfortunately, where my family's from, they're very superstitious. So ghosts are on the table, but
no, it does. I agree. It
It
almost looks like they're weighted, or like you said, magnetic.
Yeah.
I can tell you, there are no magnets. They are the dice that were in the box. They're not weighted any differently. But yeah, it's just that one little is so freaky.
So for me, I recommend this 2-player game. I mean,
Yes.
it is designated as a 2-player game, and it plays well at 2 players. I enjoy it. I would recommend it. Great lunchtime game.
Yep.
Definitely one I will be playing a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so coming back to Chuck Frank, talking about what is everyone's favorite Gen Con release. So, I know you didn't go, but I went, and I've been playing a few games from Gen Con, actually. Whistle Stop for me was great. Now, I had played it prior to Gen Con, but I know it was available for most people, I think, at Gen Con. I liked it. I know I was talking to Tom Basil about it, and he said it's one that he liked and it was a good game. But there are a lot of train games out there, so I know you get worried that it's going to get lost in the shuffle over time. I had some issues with the colors in the game. For people who are colorblind, you're going to have a hard go. But I'm hoping they potentially will fix that because it's like pastel-y and all the colors are closely related. Mm. It's going to be difficult.
You still need to teach me that one.
Oh, I'm going to bring, yes. It's so fun. I really liked it. And I've been teaching, so yes, I love really heavy games, and those are like my faves, but I wanted to be a bit silly, and I have been teaching custom heroes from AEG to everyone. I taught it to you, and come on, what did you think?
Yeah, I need a copy of that game.
I knew it.
Because my background of playing a lot of different Trump type games, trick taking type games. That one instantly brought me back to various games that I had played when I was working in casinos, and within 2 or 3 turns, like I need this game in my life.
Like, it's silly fun. Like, it's just a little chaotic. People throwing cabbage and hot dogs and sock puppets versus swords and stuff. Anyway,
that stuff didn't bring me back to the games that I used to play. It was more the mechanisms in the game that brought me back. But yes, there is that as well.
So anyway, those were fun. But I see some others on the list here. So Clank and Space I actually own and I've played. I like it a lot, actually. I'm not a big space fan. I don't know if he's going to tell me about my shirt that I wore, but overall, I'm not really into spacey themed things, but the game itself has a lot more elements. So if you don't own Clank and Space would probably be a good one to go with if you're going to pick one.
And that's one that you've said maybe we'd even stream that.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in seeing that in the stream, let us know. And definitely it's something that I'll put on the list. Like we were thinking of doing, I know... McDrizzle had asked about Scott Pilgrim, so we are looking at streaming that within the next couple of weeks. Yeah. And I'm trying to see what else. Oh, so the Chuck Frank came to our channel from Nerfenstein's tweet.
Oh, nice.
So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed what you're seeing. Yeah. And so he liked Whistle Stop as well. So Whistle Stop is, I really enjoyed it, so I'm hoping that I can teach it to you, and I hope you like it as well.
I'm sure I will.
Okay, so you did talk about... Okay, so Chuck Frank saying the colorblind thing. He's I'm assuming you're male. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That the colorblind, he's colorblind. Okay. So I'm curious to know how that affected you. I know you said you liked the game, but I know for me, I am not colorblind, and I kept moving other people's pieces because they thought it was my color. Okay. So, but it's good if it wasn't too bad for you because it's a really fun game. I really liked it. Cool. Some other games that came up were Spirit Island, which I've been seeing everywhere. Mm-hmm. I haven't tried it, so I'd be curious. Needs of the one, if you can let me know how that is. Photosynthesis, again, another one I've been seeing, but I didn't try. I heard mixed reviews about it, so I'm curious to get your thoughts on that. Wasteland Express Delivery. Wasteland Express. I really like this game. We are getting a copy.
That's one I want to try.
Yeah, we're getting a copy. So cool. This one, if people are interested in streaming it, it's a longer game, but it's definitely one that I liked.
We're not scared of longer games here.
I know, right? Hello. 3-4 hour streams.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were colorblind. My apologies. So you are male, but not colorblind. Oh, okay. So next time if you join our stream, let me know if that person you play with, how they find it, because I have yet to play with a friend of mine as well who is colorblind, and I'm really curious because I know looking at it to me, I think it might be problematic. So this is something that I can talk about on the podcast or potentially with the company and see what they're doing to help people out with that. So yeah, please let us know. I'm curious. So, but I digress onto other things. So, so thank you everyone for joining us. I'm glad we get a little bit of chatter at the end as well. And please invite other people to come in the chat. Like, that's what makes this so much fun.
Absolutely.
Yes, chat friend, please do. And I'll also give my email. So if it's just direct or, something you want to even ask on the podcast, you can put it there as well. So we'll give you all that info shortly. So next week, we will be. We will be streaming Battle for Souls. And we will have Robert Burke with us, who is the designer for Battle of Souls. He will be in the chat next week. So if you are interested in that game, and if you have questions for him or just comments about the game, he will be in there answering all of that for us, giving us more info. So happy to have him.
Now, I had scheduled that game in, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. I put that in along with this as well. It wasn't until today that I realized they're both push and pull type games.
Yes.
Right? This one, you're battling back and forth for control of cities, of regions. But in that one, it's push and pull. You're battling for souls. It is a battle for souls.
Literally.
There's 3 souls in the middle, and you're pushing and pulling. So you'll actually get a bit of a contrast and compare scenario going there.
So thank you. This shirt I never get to wear because I'm always worried I'm going to offend somebody. So thank you, Christine, and thanks everyone for the stream. So before you run off, if you have any questions, give you a quick little place that you can find us. So you can reach me at number 2 die4games@gmail.com.
And I'm Palom21, PAWLOM21 @gmail.com.
And you can also find me on social media, on YouTube, To Die For Games, as well as on our Facebook page, Twitter, Board Gamer Pinup Girl, Instagram, Board Gaming Pinup Girl. You can also find me on the Dice Tower. I am a host on the Dice Tower, specifically the podcast every 2 weeks with Suzanne Sheldon. If you have questions for us there, you can email at suzanneandmandy@gmail.com.
And I'm on Instagram as Palom, PAWLOM. Twitter is Palom21. Here every Monday night, roughly 8 o'clock. And then I also upload these videos to the To Die For Games YouTube channel, where you can leave comments, questions, queries, suggestions for games there as well.
That's it. So thank you so much. You guys are amazing. We couldn't do this without everybody in the chat, and we'll see you all next week.
All right.
All right. Bye.